Welcome to Jaytalk.
That's kind of lapsed.
I'm Jay, and of course, this is Nick from the Nick Shop.
Ladies and gentlemen, on center stage, Jay from Jaytalk.
Hey, yeah, there you go. Here.
Maybe it'll show up. What if he don't?
There you go. If you're logged in, there's a little audio button. You may not see it. I don't know. It's pretty funny. So we're trying a new platform, just testing things out. So we're playing with stuff. So you'll have to,
We're definitely having more fun than we are resolving issues.
Come on. Anyway, so yeah, dude, your camera's back off again. You drift off to the side. There you go. There you go.
Maybe it's, I don't know.
Yeah. Can't you drag it to where it's more, where the video is underneath the camera?
Yeah, I tried to, but the cord don't. I need to.
You need to
redo it.
adjust some things.
So I moved my body over. So,
Okay, yeah. No, you're good, man. You're good. So
there.
Yeah.
I'm sitting good.
Yeah. So fair enough. So how you doing, man?
Man, I'm doing good. It was a good day at work. I didn't get a lot done, but productive meetings. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's a contradiction in terms.
we actually had a few meetings and solved some problems.
Okay, that's good,
So,
man.
there you go.
So,
There you go.
I just remember we've had in the past we've had these. What is it? A meeting to talk about a meeting. That's an unproductive meeting, in my opinion. So
Definite waste of time.
exactly. So, other than that, everything's good on my side. Just kind of chilling.
Yeah, good. I was fixing to say.
Yep. So, we're gonna dive right in today. Gonna have some fun.
Let's do it.
And I'm gonna do that one sound again. Talking about forgiveness. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Talking about forgiveness. This was an interesting one because one, it goes to the core of, trying to be a better person, trying to forgive people, turning the other cheek. But I really saw an interesting TikTok where they talked about forgiveness is forgiveness, but it doesn't mean that you let the person back in your life. You learn from your mistakes, but that doesn't mean you allow them to do it to you again.
So we need to get into more detail as to what you're talking about. Now, if we're going to throw out the gauntlet right off the bat and say cheating, then yes, you have to learn forgiveness. But it's a pretty good, I don't know about anybody else. Some people can forgive cheating and get back together and do that. I've done it. I won't ever do it again.
Yeah, well, but forgiveness is even in that situation, forgiveness is really hard. I won't deny that. So, I just to start off, did you know there's 3 types of forgiveness?
I did not.
Exoneration, forbearance, and release. So, exoneration is what we normally think of when we think of forgiveness. Okay? It's when realize that a harmful action was a genuine accident for no fault can be assigned. Somebody accidentally steps on your toe, they didn't mean to, you forgive them. You don't even think twice about it. It's just like, let's move on with the rest of our lives. The second one is when the offender is like a child or someone who else simply didn't understand when they hurt you. They didn't understand they were inflicting damage.
Right.
Okay. And there are adults who do that too. They will do something and they're not intentionally trying to harm you. They just accidentally said something. And we've all done that. We've said something accidentally. We really didn't mean for it to be taken a certain way. And sometimes it's the way you hear it, not necessarily the way they said it. It's a misunderstanding.
I was fixing to jump in on that because you can think something in your mind, you can speak the words, and they hear something completely different as to what your intent was.
Right. And so you're not, you didn't intend on hurting them, and you didn't understand that you hurt them, because it wasn't
Right.
there was no intent to it. And so that's a really good one for the forbearance one. That's a really good one. I like that explanation. The third situation occurs when the person who hurt you is truly sorry, takes full responsibility without excuses, and asks for forgiveness.
Who on this planet does that?
There's some genuine people.
Man, I agree. But this particular situation sounds like something to me that purposely got offended or said something and said something back that offended them. So it was purpose.
Right.
You did it for real.
Right.
So how are you gonna just? I'm really sorry for doing that,
Right.
and not intend on doing it again. I mean, you get into relationships and they're just higher end, more energy relationships.
Right.
There are going to be arguments. There are going to be loud, and my favorite phrase is mudslinging. That's when you just start pulling everything out of your hat and saying everything in the name of the sun, angry.
Right.
There are just relationships that are like that.
Right.
And I've been in those relationships and don't like them. And I choose in this day and time in my life to not be in a relationship. There's going to be conflict,
Right.
right?
Right.
So, but to get to the point of anger, you and
Yeah.
I've never been angry with each other. We've known each other for 20 years.
You sure?
Okay, if we've been angry with one another, we've never had an argument. Never.
We've had disagreements, but never argued.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Yeah.
I mean, and we've had some heated discussions, but never, oh, go F yourself, Jay,
No, I agree.
you're full
That's
of shit,
yeah, exactly.
slinging mud, doing things like that.
Right.
We have never, and we choose to be that kind of way in our relationship. If something offends me, I'll pull you aside and go, hey, Jay, it really made me feel uncomfortable. That's how you start communication.
Well, and it's funny you talk about that. That's what I associate with release, is the fact that if I did something to you, I would genuinely come to you and say, I'm sorry. I did not mean to do that. And that would be 100% genuine.
Well, very true.
Okay, so that's
very true.
I think that's a better example of what they're calling this release. Someone who truly understands their boundaries, accidentally stepped over it, really feels bad, and is like, dude, I'm sorry, it ain't never gonna happen again. And they're not.
Right.
They're going.
Okay, I see that.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I see that now.
Right. Now, here's the funny thing. We just talked about those three, but we didn't talk about the fourth.
Oh, okay.
The website doesn't list a fourth, but they didn't talk about the people who intentionally hurt you and don't feel sorry for it about.
And expect forgiveness.
That's that's the fourth one. Let's just be honest. Right. They don't talk about that here. So when
Yeah.
we're talking about the definition of forgiveness, maybe I go to another website and maybe they've got 4, but just doing this one and pulling it up, I just wanted to talk about that so we could set some boundaries, set some definitions for the continuation of this show. I wanted to set some definitions for people to understand where we're coming from.
Right.
Right. So, getting into that, I thought it was very interesting. This person made this comment about forgiveness, and, you should forgive everyone because if you don't, it will drag you down. And I don't disagree with that.
Absolutely tear you.
Yeah, it'll tear
I
you
do,
apart.
because it will tear your body apart. You'll start having more stress in your life for holding that stuff in. You'll start getting lines in your face. You'll start losing hair, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
It will.
It will, 100%. But I also agree that while you can give forgiveness, and I'll give you an example. I'm going to use you, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Okay. You used to have a friend who was extremely narcissistic.
Okay.
Okay. You guys had a really big disagreement. You had a falling out. Things didn't work out. Okay.
Right.
You can
Okay.
forgive him and move on with your life. But that doesn't mean you're going to let him back in to do the same thing again.
Yes. That's a perfect example of yes. That goes back to the 3 minute, the 3 hour, and the 3 day friend.
You're right. Yes, exactly.
I'm gonna run into that person somewhere, somehow again.
Right.
And it will be a 3 minute conversation, if that.
Right. But if you never forgive them, you can't even have the 3-minute conversation.
Oh, right. You're right.
You know,
You're absolutely right.
because that's a big thing. If he doesn't forgive you, if he thinks you've wronged him, if he doesn't forgive you, he'll never have the 3. And that's the big thing.
Right.
We're getting to that stage, though, where people. I'm not apologetic for this comment because this is how I really see it. People won't forgive because they want to be the victim.
Ooh, good one. People love being the victim.
Right.
And I've even been guilty of that a time or two.
Yeah. I think we all have been, but I think it's gotten more prevalent in today's society. And I'm not talking I'm not talking politics or anything else. I'm just talking about people in general. Not
Right.
male or female, people.
Yes.
Right. So let me make sure I'm clear on that. And I'm not apologetic because I'm telling you how I see it with the people I deal with every day in the grocery store, at a Walmart, anywhere I go.
On the road.
On the road. Yeah, we're not going to make comments about that. In a way.
Yeah, no, let's throw it out there. I thought I'd throw it out there.
Especially in Houston rush hour traffic. Yeah, no, right.
Yeah, Houston rush. Yeah. And they thought LA was bad.
Yeah, I know, right? So, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I had a thought. I lost it. I'll get it back.
Well, and so, one of the things, forgiveness is something that a lot of people say, but they don't really practice. And so that's why I wanted to bring it up. I didn't think we were going to have a super long show on this one, but I know there are plenty of times in our lives where we need to look at it. And sometimes our show should be an inspiration to other people. When we talk about, our campfire talks about things that we've encountered, things that we've done. Right. And it's like, okay, how did you get through it? How did you forgive? And so telling our stories sometimes can help people figure their way out of things. And so go ahead.
I've got a decent example of situation two coworkers are working, they become friendly outside of work. It could be doesn't matter the race, color, creed, sex, whatever.
Right.
It could be two guys, two girls, two guy, girl. Could be a relationship,
Right.
and they start to have some attitude, maybe a little whatever going on, and they separate as friends, but they still have to work together.
Right.
Okay. One of the great examples in my mind and the way I see it is, okay, this person, let me use me as an example so to make it more simplified.
Okay.
Okay. Coworker and I start hanging out. We get into a disagreement, an argument. We go our separate ways, but we still have to work together. Okay. Now, the coworker comes back to me, or I go to the coworker and pull him aside and go, you know what, man, that was just a bad situation. I want to apologize for my part in the whole thing. And then they go, yeah, I really want to apologize. We hug it out and we move on. Now, their attitude after that, or my attitude after that, in my mind determines, did we really apologize and forgive? Or did we just go through the motions because we have to deal with each other at work?
Well, and okay, here's the difference. You can, depending on the situation, do you forgive them, but then do you move them to that 3 second or 3 minute person?
Yeah, good point. See, that's what I'm saying is, if you're in my if both of us are truly forgiving the other for the bad situation,
Yes.
we're both going to be on guard if we continue to hang out after work, right?
Yes. Okay, that
So
is
we're
that is
both going to be
different.
on guard,
Right. At
right?
work you can be professionals. And
Yes,
it doesn't matter about the 3 second, 3 minute, or 3 hour rule. You're professionals. You got to sit in the meeting together. You sit in the meeting. You do your job. Okay.
right,
Most of us can be professionals and do that. But
right,
when it comes to after work, that's challenging.
right.
To your point, I don't know that I would hang out with them unless it was a certain situation. Like if it's me and you, if we work together again and something
Right.
happened, I would genuinely come to you and say, dude, I fucked up. It's my fault. Well, but see, that's the
And we
difference.
have,
Yes. Right.
and we've been genuine about it because it wasn't planned. It wasn't an attack towards one another. It
Exactly.
was our thought process went goofy or whatever, and something happened, and we got a little frustrated. Could have been a bad day. Didn't get any sleep the night. Whatever.
Right.
We were having our menopause. I mean,
Damn. Anyway.
you just don't know. We have our bad week once a month too.
Boom, baby. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, amen on that.
But
Not fair, you women get 1 week out of the month to be mean, so we can do it.
yeah, I
Right?
know, right? Exactly.
Unfair. We have our periods too. We have our attitude too. So.
Oh, damn,
But yeah,
dude.
it could have been that. It could have been that bad situation and just bad timing.
Right. Right. But see,
So
that's the challenge.
those are
So
gems.
how do you deal with that situation?
See, I think there's a time lapse on that.
Okay.
Okay, we both genuinely sounded genuine and both apologized and both forgave one another for whatever we did, whatever the situation happens, right?
Right.
Well, now we still plan on going out and having Taco Tuesday after work, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Okay. We're going to be on guard, and it's not just going to be over with and done. We're done. Move on. Now, if you've established that kind of relationship like you and I have,
Right.
we can come to one another, talk it out, hug it out, and we're done.
Right.
So there's not going to be any animosity. So I think there's a time frame of being a little bit uncomfortable to make sure that, or were they genuine, or is this going to happen again? That kind of in the back of your mind. So it takes time to establish, okay, they were genuine.
Well, so okay, I will go back to that because that's an interesting point. I think sometimes that has to do with your relationship before the incident happened.
Oh, good point. Yes, it sure
Because,
does.
just because you hang out after work sometimes, go grab a Taco Tuesday, were you really true friends? I mean, we always talk about, true friends, someone that's going to be there for you. You move. They're there for you in the bad
Right.
times, not just the good.
Help you
So,
bury a body.
yes. Anyway, but you know what I mean? I think that's a good, just because a lot of people hang out with workmates, but they don't necessarily, when they walk away from work or even that after work dinner or a happy hour, that's it. They cut it off. They don't want them to be
Right.
part of their home life.
Well, true. Yeah.
That is different between, so, thinking about us, we hang out at each other's houses, we help each other move. That's a little different. You can't give it the same level. I mean, we're almost like family. So that's,
Right.
yeah, so that's a big difference. And so when you look at it like that, the other person could have been genuine. You could have been genuine. But the problem is at what stage was your relationship before it happened?
Right.
And I think that's the challenge,
Yes.
you
Very
know?
much so.
Huh?
Especially if you take it to the next level and it was a romantic relationship.
Oh, see, that makes it even more
Yeah.
interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
you can have disagreements in a romantic relationship even while you're working and still be able to maintain a difference.
yes.
You know, go get in an argument or whatever, go to bed angry, go to work the next day and still be civil and stuff like that. That most people that are professional
Yeah. Professionalism.
can set that stuff aside
Right.
and they might not like it, but they do it.
Right. Yeah.
So
Because,
I think go ahead.
no, go ahead.
So I'm just saying in a romantic relationship, when there's the ultimate betrayal involved and you still have to work with that person, that's tough to deal with. That's and they truly
Yeah.
and sorry,
Right.
you know, if they're truly sorry and you believe that they're truly sorry, there's a time lapse that's going to have to be proven that you are truly sorry.
Yes. Yeah. And you
It's
can't,
not just going to go, "Oh, I apologize," and you're
right.
back to seeing each other again. And no, it doesn't work that way.
Right. Yeah.
Not at all.
Right.
If ever,
Right. Exactly.
you
You
know.
can't walk up and say, "Look, I'm really, really, really sorry. I didn't, it didn't mean it. And I really apologize, but it
I'll
is what
never
it
do it
is."
again. Oh yeah. If they say it like that to me, I'll be like, "You're absolutely right. It
Is
is
what
what
it
it is."
is. I'm just messing with you. I had to pull your favorite line, man.
And that's the ultimate time to pull that line because that's when the line is the worst.
I know. Exactly. See, there are times like whenever I'm using it for me, is what it is. It's not bad. It's an
No,
acceptance.
it's
Yeah.
it's saying that I don't have control of this situation. It is what it is.
Right. Right. But
When you have complete control of it and you make big mistakes and then you go, well, it is what it is.
it's, yeah.
Bye,
Yeah, I know.
Felicia.
Except they don't care about your feelings on the matter. That's
Oh no.
essentially, yeah, I know, right?
See, and that's where the forgiveness gets to be really hard.
It is. It is really
And
hard.
then
Yeah.
if let's just go back to the relationship and the cheating thing. Okay, I know everybody gets probably tired of hearing about all that, but if they truly forgive themselves for making the mistake and they truly forgive and they really want to make a relationship work, there's time. You can't just go, "Oh, I'm really sorry," and throw some tears out and, "All right, let's go out tomorrow night." It's no,
No.
no. Because
No.
you don't know if that's genuine or not.
Right.
If they were already kind of shady or,
Right.
didn't tell the truth or anything like that, that's not going to happen in 24 hours.
No, because
Absolutely not.
right, because here's the whole thing. They just went from a 3-hour person to a 3-minute person. Even if it's a short time while the healing happens, they need to
Yep.
accept that that's not an easy thing, you know. And if they want to get back to that 3 hour, they need to respect the 3 minute, but also be genuine in their ways that they're dealing with it. You can't just go back
Right.
out and cheat again or go back out and, you know what I mean?
Well, you know
So
what they say about cheaters.
I know
Once a
once a
cheater,
cheater,
always a
always a
cheater.
cheater. Whatever.
I mean, what are the the statistics of not cheating again are astronomical.
I know. But it does happen, but it is rare. I agree with you.
I agree. I do know people that have slipped into the, the dark side
Right.
and, you know, proved themselves, but it took years
Right.
for that complete barrier to come down and do all that.
Yes.
But
No.
even getting back to silly things like friends go out and, you and I had some conversations a while back about one of the things that happens in a group setting when there's alcohol involved,
Yes.
things tend to get a little out of hand.
Right.
So when things get out of hand, how then the people that had a little too much to drink or said something while they had too much to drink, and then the next morning they're back to being sober, they feel like dirt,
Right.
and they're really sorry for their actions.
Now I got a question because we've talked about this on the show before. When you were up in Bandera and you told the story about how sometimes, there would be parties and there were a couple of people who just would walk in and just insult people left and right because they were just drunk as hell.
Oh yeah,
Did they
absolutely.
ever come in and the next day when they were sober, did they ever come in and apologize or ever any of them ever be like, "Oh, I can't believe I was that drunk. I can't believe I said that shit."
I I can't imagine it ever happened.
Really?
Ever.
Okay.
They don't apologize for that. They'll just go out and find other friends to hang out with and insult.
And there's the difference between a narcissist and somebody who cares. That's the tough part,
Right.
you know. But it's a challenge when, yeah, alcohol can take you to that point. So,
Yes.
yeah, that's another one that's hard for me, being that I'm a non drinker. I'm not a non drinker. I'm just a very
Well,
lightweight.
you're
I'm a
you're
lightweight.
what they call a normie.
Whatever.
You No, I'm serious.
Okay.
If you really get into the realm of addiction,
Okay.
okay, they call people that can take drugs or alcohol or whatever in moderation. They don't dive off the deep end.
Right.
Now, that's moderate type drugs. When you start getting people that are doing meth, that's all they care about.
Right.
Start when people are waking up in the morning and before they even climb out of bed, there's a bottle of vodka and they're chugging it when they get out of bed.
Right.
That's addiction.
Yes. I would agree with that.
You would never do that in your whole life. I am a drinker and I would never do that.
I know. That's what I was about to say. I don't think I've ever heard of you saying that. Yeah.
So that's why I say I went to an AA meeting or a DA meeting, whatever, with Drugs Anonymous, Alcohol. It was
Right.
just a group of people,
Right.
and there was a variety of people there that had addictions to other things.
Right.
And so when I sat down with the person I came with, I was there for them.
Right.
Okay. So when they went around the room, they say, "Hi, my name's Nick O'Donohoe." And they're like, "Hey, Nick, hi, my name's Nick O'Donohoe and I'm an alcoholic or
Right.
I'm a drug addict."
Right.
That's how you do it in those meetings.
Right.
Well, when it came to me, I said, "My name's Nick O'Donohoe and I'm here to support whoever."
Right.
And they're like, "Oh, you're a normie." And I went, "What?" Said, "You're a normie. You don't enjoy the addiction like everybody else in the room over here. You can do it in moderation." And she talked about that for a couple minutes.
That's
And then she
funny.
went on to the next person. Yeah.
Okay.
So she
Okay.
called me a normie.
Okay.
So
I'm a normie.
you're a normie too.
I'm a
You're a
normie.
normie.
Yep. So I'm gonna change my title. I'm no longer
I
Lord
don't know.
J. I'm Normie J.
I
No, I'm
took
just
that so far. Yeah, right. I
kidding.
took that so far. You were trying to make a point about. You said I'm a non-drinker. Well, now wait a minute. You were going into a place, and I just went right off the rails
You're
for you.
fine. You're fine. It's all good.
But I mean, what was it? What were we talking about?
Well, basically, I was talking about how it can be challenging. You had made the comment about people drinking a lot. For me, I don't drink a lot, so that's why when depending on somebody's alcohol, how much they drink, it kind of it can bother me or not bother me. I don't generally hang around people who drink a lot. You know,
Right.
I'm pretty much a person who hangs around people that may drink one, two, three drinks tops. Maybe I think the one time I hung out with someone that was just it was when we all went to Ren Fest. That was we all drank a little more than we maybe should have, but we also all ate food and then was like hours before we got anywhere, and I didn't have anywhere close to some of the other people, but yeah, everybody made sure they were way beyond before they even stepped into a vehicle. So,
Right.
yeah, no. Coffee, food, whatever they had to do to make sure they got themselves back to normal. So, and I don't think anyone really, besides one person, that really got drunk that day. But, the point is for the most part, I don't generally hang out with those people. So it's just really interesting to hear you talk about it because, yeah, and that's nothing against anyone. That's just me.
Yeah,
So,
and I've hung around people that will wake up in the morning and have their coffee, maybe eat a little breakfast or not, and then 30 minutes after they're up, they're cracking open a beer.
right.
And they will drink an entire case of beer and never once stumble, stutter, slur, nothing.
I know.
Just a normal day,
No,
you know?
I've had friends like that, so I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
now I've been around people that literally wake up in the morning and they've got the half gallon of vodka and they sit up in bed and go cool, 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 and that's how they start their day.
that's rough.
And that particular guy had a heart attack about 6 months ago, passed away.
Oh, that's
He
really
was
rough.
47.
Oh,
He was 47.
okay. That's yeah,
So,
moderation,
but I
dude.
mean,
But that's the whole
yeah,
thing, moderation.
he had no idea what moderation was.
That's harsh.
None.
Yeah.
Very, very sad. Very, very sad. But I mean, that shows you the extremes of people that are out there in the world.
Right. Right.
You know, I knew a guy that was a fully functional alcoholic. You would never, ever, ever see that he was drunk. Never acted like it. And when that person, it's his significant other found out about it.
Right.
That I'm getting back to the forgiveness part.
Right.
The significant other tried to forgive,
Right.
but he was already past the point and wasn't there to he wasn't going to fix himself. He didn't think there was anything wrong. He
Right.
was drinking on the job,
Oh
working
shit.
for a big company, and yeah.
I know.
So that kind of forgiveness, that kind of forgiveness takes time.
Yes, it does. Yes.
Now the person, and we'll use alcoholism as this particular situation. That person became an alcoholic
Right.
and was drinking at work or drinking when they get up, and then one day they woke up and they're like, "Ain't nobody gonna fix me but me."
Yeah.
I'm losing my significant other. I'm fixing to lose the house, the car, the job, everything.
Right.
If I don't straighten my act up, and boom, they jump on it. Now the significant other has a choice of saying, "I don't think you're gonna do it," or they should be the kind of spouse that would say, I'm here for you. Let's go. Let's do it together." And while that transition is going to better their lives without alcohol, the forgiveness is there and that animosity and everything just creeps out to nothing.
Yes.
and the relationship is 100,000 times more strong than it was in the beginning.
Right. And I agree with you. And that goes back to, I'm going to go back to that 3 minute, 3 hour situation on that situation because, you got to think that spouse is like, oof, I love you. I want to be here for you. But it, she's going to, she or he is still going to be there. But they're going to be very reserved. They're going to be very,
Absolutely.
it's going to be a trying situation, very challenging. And so that's a tough one. And it's not just alcohol. We've been focused on alcohol a little bit on this, this forgiveness situation, but it's not just alcohol. I mean, there's a lot of different things. I mean, okay, here's a great example. I have
Okay.
had a couple of friends who've gotten divorces because they can't put down a video game.
It's an addiction.
It is an addiction, and you got to
It is
have some
absolutely no
moderation.
different.
Yes. Right.
Yes.
And I used to be, that would be the only thing I would say I used to be addicted to, is I used to play pretty hardcore on video games. So.
Yes, we did. We both did.
I wasn't going to throw you under the bus.
That's all right. No, I'm right there because we did it together for what, 2 years?
Yeah, and I did it for more
Literally
after that. Yeah.
hardcore.
I know.
Oh
I know.
yeah, literally hardcore for 2 years.
I know.
Talking about playing every night after work, and sometimes we would get up at 6 a.m. on a Sunday
Yep.
and still be playing at midnight, or Saturday.
Yeah.
6 a.m. Saturday morning, still be playing at midnight.
Yep. Yep. I know. I remember. Yeah. Somebody said, "How many hours a week do you play video games?" 40.
As much as I work.
I know,
Yeah.
right? Exactly. It's like, when do you have time to spend with your kids? I don't sleep. It's like, what the hell? I don't know. Sorry. I mean, we laugh, but it's happened. We've all done it. Okay, something.
Yes.
Not video games, but we've all had an addiction. We've all had something, and
Yeah,
So
you could hurt your shoulder or break a finger, and they give you painkillers. Next thing you know, you can't stop.
right,
You know,
exactly, yeah.
I know a
So
lot of people are like
yeah, that's unfortunate. I know people that are like that too. So
those
there's
things are tough, man.
right,
Th- Taking that stuff is tough business. I
right,
mean, it's hard, man. That's a good feeling because I'm in no pain.
right.
You know,
What about the sports guys? Some of the other guys that work out, that's their addiction. They spend all their time at the gym and they're not at home with their whoever or whatever or stuff like that.
right?
And see that all, and we're bringing this up, folks, and you may say we're going a little off topic here, but when you think about it, there's got to be forgiveness from the other person to allow you to do that. And so that's a challenging thing. So, because that's not going to be exoneration. It's not going to be forbearance. And honestly, it's not true release, because you hurt someone because you're not spending time with them, because you're too busy playing a video game, drinking, going out with your friends, going to a club, going whatever, okay? There's a million different excuses we can give, okay? Those are just
Right.
a couple. But if you don't take responsibility, if you say you're sorry, but you don't actually change your actions, that's where release doesn't happen. They
Yeah.
may want to forgive you, but if you don't change what you're doing, why, they can forgive you, but that's where they're going to put you in another category. They're going to put you into the 3 minute, or they're going to put you into the 3 second. Or you know what? Maybe now you're a seasoned person and that season is past and it's time to move on, and they've learned why, and they're, whatever. So
Right.
that's a hard thing. But that's a challenging forgiveness, because in that situation, when you split up, forgiveness is really hard to give when people get divorced.
Right.
And that's really, I mean, let's just be honest. There are too many people out there that fight during divorce.
Badly.
Yeah, badly. Exactly.
I mean, yeah.
It can get ugly.
Fight to the death. I want every penny, and I'm going to take whatever I can,
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so it's really hard for forgiveness. And that was the other reason I brought it up is it goes back to you can forgive, but learn from it, don't go
Right.
back. Don't go back into the same situation, unless you think this person is genuinely not going to have to ask you to forgive them again for the same thing. They may make a different mistake. We all make mistakes. We make them all the time. But as long as we're not making the same mistake over and over and over.
Right. Learn from them.
Learn from them.
The thing that I'm sitting here and I want to say is, I heard one of the greatest things on TikTok again, and it was, all relationships need attention, positive attention.
Yes. Not
You
negative,
give any
positive.
relationship, not negative. Yes, you give any relationship some positive attention, it's gonna respond positively.
Right.
We had that funny conversation about how everybody, they're gonna cut you down and they're gonna throw you down, and every time you say something, they go no, and then they reiterate exactly what you said.
Right.
But now they're the ones that said it.
Right.
Things like that. That's not the positive attention I'm talking about.
Right.
That's all relationships, doesn't matter. Friends, co-worker, anything.
Right.
Relationships, all of it.
Okay, so I'm going to really use a horrible analogy. It's actually a really great analogy.
I was going to say.
I know. This is a great analogy, okay? This is a good analogy of what you're talking about and forgiveness. Okay?
Okay.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay, if you go out and plant a tomato plant and you don't water it, will it bear fruit?
No.
No, because you didn't give it the positive attention it needed.
Right.
Okay. If you give it the positive attention it needed and it's producing fruit and it's giving you back, you give it, it gives back. Okay, here's a good example. What happens if one of those fruit fall to the ground and you don't get to eat it? Are you mad at the plant?
Should he? No, I'm kidding. Don't be dropping that. We've been working hard on this.
I know. But the point is, the plant didn't hold it up. It dropped it. It's not. And a plant can't it can't say it's sorry. But you're not going to go over there and just freaking chop the freaking plant at the root and just dig it up because it lost one fruit.
Right.
Right. It's the same thing in life and relationships. What you're talking about is we're feeding a relationship. It's no different than the way you're feeding a plant. If you feed a relationship, it grows.
Right.
And if a little piece of fruit happens to fall and get squashed, okay, and the other person says they're sorry and they're going to do better, you're going to forgive them. You're not even going to think twice about it.
Right.
Because that person is also feeding you back with positive.
Yes.
And I think that's a key point is I loved your analogy on that. You've got to feed your relationship positive energy, positive whatever. It's no different than a plant. You want something to grow, you've got to feed it. Yes. Period, end of story. Your kids, anything. Yeah.
Not only that, though, if you take the plant, you can't just run out to the nursery and buy a plant and just throw some water on it once a week. Every plant's different.
Right.
Everything works differently. You need to take the time to study
And
to
understand.
understand that plant, not just, oh, I just gonna throw some water on it and hope it stays alive. You have to learn what that plant's language is.
Right. Right. Okay.
Does that plant need complete full sun all day, every day, or does it need to be in a window, or, put it out on the, how does that plant, how can you positively motivate that plant to give you the fruit that it needs?
I got a great example for that one. Okay.
Okay.
So when I lived in Iowa, we had a peach tree. So it was
Oh, wow.
really,
It was in pot, was it a big one in the yard?
it was
Or,
a medium sized peach tree.
okay.
Okay. And it was in our yard. So yeah, it was our
Okay.
peach tree. Every year, we had peach trees. They were about that big around.
Okay.
Okay. Because I didn't know anything about peach trees.
Right.
Okay. So I didn't learn till later on that I needed to prune the peach tree.
Cut
Okay.
it back.
Huh?
Yeah.
So no,
Cut it back.
you cut it back or pick off some of the buds, because here's the whole thing: when it's trying to feed a bunch of peaches, it can only make them this big, you know. But when it's feeding like one peach, it can get it all the
Right.
nutrients and grow it really large.
Oh, okay. I didn't
You,
know that.
you know what I mean? And so yeah, but
Yes.
that's to your point, understanding,
Yes.
and understanding your kids, your relationships, the person you're with. And I love the way you put that, because that's exactly it. It's about understanding the person, because all of us are
Right.
different.
Yes. And it's a daily study.
Yes.
It's you work on it on a daily basis.
Right. And you're
So,
going to have opportunities to forgive people all the time.
yes. Yeah.
And it's going to be a hard lesson, but you do need to learn how to do that.
Yeah. And working on yourself to be able to be confident enough in yourself to forgive
Yes.
that person,
Yep.
that's a daily study as well.
No. Agreed.
And sometimes I don't want to say easy. Sometimes it's not so hard, and sometimes it's extremely hard,
Yes.
depending on the situation.
Yeah. No, I agree. And there are things that happen in my life that, I can look at that and I'll be like, yeah, I'm good. You didn't mean it, and I know you didn't mean it.
Right.
So you may be asking me for my forgiveness, but you already had it.
Right.
Because you didn't even have to say anything. I knew you were going to ask for it.
And see, but we do that. We've been doing that for 20 years. We always work on our relationship.
Right.
We've always been open about everything, and you don't have a problem coming to me and this one, whatever.
Right.
We've done that from day one,
Right.
and then we realize, but we also know where our hearts are.
Yes. Right.
So I'm already forgiving you if anything ever happens. We're already at that level.
Yes.
You know
I
what I
would
mean?
agree with that. I would agree
Yeah,
with that.
I don't
Yeah.
expect anything in our relationship to get to the point where it's gonna throw me off.
Right. Right.
You know.
Right. No, and that's part of, like you said, growing. And I'm glad you made that point too, because that really helps with the forgiveness when you grow with people, and developing. So we're developing this nice little friend group that we've been developing, and I would say that there are a lot of times. Sometimes a joke may be a little over, but all of us know that if that was a little bad, okay, just say something. We don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. So you tell us straight out. And we got no issue with that. And we just barely started. But it seems like we've really set the balance and the boundaries.
And it's really funny is every once in a while something will go just a little bit off kilter,
Right.
and nobody will have to say anything. I could say something a little crass. Maybe I had a little beer or something, or I bowled a bad game or whatever, and I kind of said something crass.
Right.
I would have immediately known, and everybody in our group would have immediately known. All right, we all knew that was a little much, and I immediately knew to back off. So
Right.
they immediately knew that they didn't have to say, "Hey Nick, we need you to," you know,
Right.
and then it just goes back on to normal.
Right. Exactly.
So,
So, yeah.
so once you study and understand one another and understand their thought process, it's easily forgiven when you slip up.
Yes. Yes. But like you said, it's about growing. And it's not just relationships with a spouse or whatever, relationship with friends, with family, with just everything. If you don't grow your relationship even with your family, it can go sour,
Right.
you know?
Yep.
And so it's all of that, growing your relationship with your kids is a huge deal. So,
Absolutely.
I've heard plenty of parents who lose a relationship because they don't spend the time to grow a relationship with their kids.
Yep.
And that's a
Or
tough
vice
thing.
versa.
Or vice versa. Yeah,
the,
exactly.
the parents can't keep a relationship because the kid's too busy off on their own tangent.
I know. Hey, we all do that. Right after high school,
Yeah.
most of us all want to get out of the house and go do our own thing.
Yep. Time to step out on our own lives. Do it.
Right. But the challenge is for a lot of parents is that they've been raising you so long, it's very hard for them to let go. And that's where if you've developed that relationship, you can get forgiveness for saying something or doing something that you weren't intending, but because you're so used to doing, you know, they're trying to do their independence, and you're like, but you're still my kid.
Right.
You're going to do something. You're going to overstep your bounds, and you need to. If you grew that relationship, they're going to forgive you.
Oh yeah.
So come on, we've all done it.
I know parents that'll manipulate their kids. And I'll give a great example.
Okay.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and file your taxes. When the check comes in, I'm gonna go ahead and deposit it in my account, and you have to come over and have dinner if you need money.
Right.
I know parents that have done that because they want their kids to stay close.
Oh yeah, that's right.
How do you forgive that?
Yeah.
Threw that one out there. But I
Yeah.
mean,
No.
there are things
Yeah.
there are things that happen in our lives that we're like, I don't know. I don't know if I can get past. I don't know if I can.
Well, and
And
so
it's hard because it stresses me or you, whatever,
right.
to say I don't know if I can forgive you. But if I can't, then I have to figure out a way to release that so that it doesn't keep me on edge or anxious or whatever.
Well, and if you can release it, that's forgiveness. But the key point there is that's the challenge, because you're supposed to forgive and forget. But that would be a hard one to forget because you don't want them to do it again, or you don't want them to.
So here's the thing:
Manipulation
something
is,
happens.
yeah. Go ahead.
I'm all about the big deal for me is cheating.
Yeah.
Somebody cheats, you can forgive them. I don't know if you can forgive it. I mean, forget it. And I know that for people that have been cheated on and that are not cheaters, when they've been cheated on, they can forgive you for your mistakes, but they're never going to give you an opportunity to do it again. So how do you reconcile? How do you reconcile that? Is what I guess what I'm saying.
Well,
You know
and
what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
You can
Well,
go through the whole steps and you can release the whole thing, but you're not going to be in my life because that's never going to happen to me again with you.
right. Well, and so okay, that's an interesting point because you're giving forgiveness and you're choosing to forget. Okay?
Right.
Because you're saying to them, it's never going to happen again with you. I want to move on with my life and forget this happened.
Yep.
And that is a challenge for a lot of people. It doesn't mean you don't learn a lesson from it, but you can choose to put it behind you and move on with your life. That is part of growth. That is part of, living life. You're going to have those things that happen, and you have to grow from them.
Right.
So now here's the big one, because we're wrapping up the show. Here's one that is going to be hard. I mean, it's probably the hardest one for everyone. You ready for this?
I'm scared.
Forgiveness of self.
Ooh. Hey.
I hit you good with that one, didn't I?
Yeah, because that is the hardest one.
Right.
Is by far, no doubt, the hardest one. We've always joked and we've talked about it a million times. If you can't walk up to a mirror and look at yourself and count to 10, you haven't forgiven yourself for whatever the situation may be.
Right. Well, you can't look at yourself. Yeah, exactly. You've said it. You don't feel confident in yourself.
Right.
And some of that, like you just said, is forgiveness of yourself.
Yes, of yourself.
Right.
Hardest thing to do. You are absolutely right.
And that is a challenge.
Especially when you go
ahead.
Putting the integrity on me helps me have integrity on a daily basis. Okay?
Right.
If I break that, not towards you or anybody else, but if I break it for me,
right,
that's a struggle that would make me look in the mirror and go, how do you forgive yourself for the mistake you knew you made? You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
That's the toughest thing.
Right.
Because it wasn't an accident.
No.
If you did something that if I did something that just affected me,
right,
in a bad way,
right,
how can I play the victim? How can I can't blame anybody else. I can't.
I know.
You have nowhere to go with that. That is got to be the hardest thing for anybody.
Right. Right. You put yourself in that position, and you have to find a way to forgive yourself for it.
Yes.
Right. So
crazy.
That is the hardest one, and that was the one I wanted to wrap up with.
Amen.
I wasn't going to spend a lot of time on it because I don't think you need to. That one's just it's a self-explanatory.
I could rant and rave about the same thing 50 times, but yeah, you're right.
It's just a fact. Yeah. We all do it. Yeah. We all reflect. And we all have our own regrets or things that we've done that we really wish we wouldn't have, or we need forgiveness. Something we did to our kids that we didn't think was right. When we look back at it, we got to forgive ourselves for that, move on, and continue to be good parents. There are a lot of those things, and we all do it. So that's my kind of final forgiveness look, is self-inflection and self-forgiveness.
Amen.
So, we're wrapping up the show. Any final comments for the crowd?
Yes.
Okay.
I love you, brother.
I love you too. And I forgive you.
Amen. I forgive you. What the hell did you do wrong?
I bowled a really horrible game yesterday.
Yeah, but you still bowled better than me.
Whatever.
I didn't even come close to winning any games. All four.
I know.
Hey, we all have our good and bad days.
I know. I actually am asking.
And
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I was asking for forgiveness for picking the lanes because, man, they were not friendly to us.
We have to forgive the lanes for having too much or not enough oil. We had two of them.
Or pins that hate us. I don't know, man, because it was really ugly.
Yeah.
So. Go ahead.
The upside to all that is we had a blast.
We did.
We had a fantastic time.
We did.
Great set of friends. We had a great time.
Yes, we did. So, of course, I love you, man. And fans, we love you too. Looking forward to hearing from some of y'all sometimes. Of course, we did see one of our fans over the weekend, so I got a nice little chewing out for saying sorry. So, so hey, I deserved it. Yeah, I know, it was pretty funny. So, other than that, keep following and keep listening.